for making me.
I just realized something. I had to press it twice. Yeah. Yeah, I was watching the YouTube one just to make sure the sound was coming in. I was like, it's been like a minute. Why isn't it going? And then I'm going back here and I'm like,
press the button.
yeah, I think there's delay something happening. Let me just check something.
Okay.
Is that coming through yet? On your side?
I keep losing the sound.
Yeah, give me one sec.
The wonders of a live podcast.
Sorry about that, folks. My other screen had us playing the same YouTube. Yeah. So what a mess up. We were doing so well, and let's crack up. All right.
It proves we're human, you see.
Yeah. Like there was, we're not machines here. AI.
Well, don't forget that sometimes, like artwork, the bits, the mistakes are the best bits. So
yeah.
So it's downhill from now.
I hope we're doing all right. I mean,
yeah.
All right, shall we start?
Yeah. Just rewind.
All right. So hello everyone. How are you? This is Aru with Plunge-POP, our international podcast that has filmmakers, musicians, people who are doing creative stuff that's kind of more in the entertainment scene, but also related to comics. So thank you for joining us. It was a mismatched start, but it's fun and I enjoy doing this podcast. And this is my second time with Glenn. Last time I was during the lockdowns, and that's the last time we actually talked face to face. So Glenn, how about you tell us a bit about, do a bit of bio about yourself, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of things.
Yeah, I'm about 159 years old now. I've spent the last 50 years in graphic design, working on, brochures and God knows what, photography and all this kind of stuff, artwork. I also made a couple of documentaries, film documentaries. I do a lot of traveling. I've been to a few places in the world, and I've got 11, I think it's 11 books now that have been published. You can find all those on Amazon. No doubt we'll talk about that. Yeah, I like to cover lots of various subjects, from JFK to children's books and everything in between. And I'm working on some comics now, and that's what we're going to be talking about. I think this my comic character Hatch.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because I don't know much about it, and I'm hoping that I'm going to share this. Let me just see here. Find my comic page, so people can see what we're going to be talking about today. So here we go. Now, tell us a bit about this book here, and the background of the character and stuff, and how it came about.
Yeah, way back in the late 80s, I had my own art studio and stuff like that. So we decided to do comics, and I have a lot of that. I'm sort of an ideas man. I have a lot of ideas about stuff, and I came up with this one. And if you were getting it syndicated through, say, somebody like King Features, because they have such a fantastic deal for the creator. Anyway, that didn't come about, but so I've kept doing strips of him ever since then. And I finally, this past few years, when I've been basically retired, really, I've been working on it a lot, and I put a couple of editions of it out. And he's just what he is a cartoon character. He lives on an asteroid alone. He doesn't know anybody else. He doesn't speak to anybody else. In fact, he doesn't actually say anything other than a few screams when things land on his feet and all this kind of thing. And this book is an annotated book. This gives you the details of the character's creation with unpublished artwork in. This isn't actually a story.
Okay.
This is coming out soon from New Haven Publishing, which will be the story.
Right.
This is the character Hatch. This is the artwork for the cover.
Right.
So this book is more about him than there are strips in it, obviously, but this is more about him. That's why it's annotated, because there's
So I mean, so it's like a commentary type thing on a DVD, right? Is that what? Am I right on that? Or
no. It's a hardback and softback book.
Yeah. No. What I mean is like it's a book about the character, how it came about, and background and stuff like that.
Yes.
Or because the other one's going to be released, which is the actual book. So this kind of companion book.
That's right. Yeah. And there's already one out called The Next Day. That's on Amazon. So this is the second book is coming out soon, and this is obviously the companion book, the annotated version. Right.
So why the annotated book, right? I mean, like rather than actually put the actual book out, the comic out itself.
So I wanted to show people where he came from. So it's got all these drawings from 1987, and you can see the change in the artwork. You see,
right?
So
I see.
It's like an origin book, and there's also just photographs of the artwork. It's just getting to know him type of thing.
Yeah. Hey, shall we watch the video?
Yeah. Go for the top one first. That's it.
Yeah. So let's see.
This is me just working on him.
Yeah. Because just to give people an idea.
I work traditionally.
Hatch is not your average cartoon character. Far from it. Hatch lives on a remote asteroid far out in space and has no knowledge of anywhere else.
Cool.
His day compounds bewilderment with disbelief as his life unfolds before him. A life he marvels at, embraces, and is ultimately frustrated by, albeit in a comedic way. This 100-page, full-colour, annotated edition of Hatch not only boasts an in-depth interview with creator Glenn B Fleming, as he takes us through the evolution of this lovable character, but also presents previously unseen original artwork from the Hatch archive. All this, along with the creator's annotation and anecdotes, make this book a must for the connoisseur of sequential art.
They're so cool. Like,
that's just,
you got my real reaction to this, right? Because I haven't seen it.
Right.
I like to come into these podcasts without knowing anything about what I'm going to be talking about.
Yeah,
so what you get is my natural reactions to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I haven't seen anybody paint comics for ages. Like, it's been so long since I've seen somebody actually paint. And because now, like me, I can go on and digitally color stuff, and on my computer, or
back in
using paint.
Back in 1990, I got my first Apple Mac, which I like to tell people it's crazy because it had 16 megabytes of RAM on it, 16, which was, listen to this, which is 15 megabytes more than Neil Armstrong had on his lunar module when he landed on the moon. So my computer at home was 15 times more powerful than his 20 years previously.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I moved into Mac. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just thinking because like I was cleaning up all my drawers here and stuff, and I keep all my mobile phones as much as I can. There's some I've lost. The earlier ones I've lost, but the last maybe 10 years I've kept them, and you can see the progression.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to see. Like I've got one this big, right? This big.
Yeah.
Like, was that like 2 inch by 1 inch?
Yeah.
Full screen. Like a little baby freaking little baby one of these. Like, where is it? Yeah. A baby one of these. So it's basically this big.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, people who haven't grown up with it don't realize the amount of, you know, how slow everything was. And
but it's all relative. It's all relative. It's only it wasn't slow then. It was amazing then.
Yeah,
it's all relative. People didn't sit down with an Apple Classic and think, "Oh, this is really slow." They thought this is really amazing. So anyway, so about 5 years later, because I worked on Macs, I got a Mac for work, was doing brochures and typography and photography and all that. I had to make the transition from my desktop to my screen. And I have to admit, when I bought this computer, because I could see this was the way the world was going to go, I couldn't work it out. I thought, I'm finished. I couldn't. And then it just clicked in my brain. It's your worktop. It's your desktop, right? Literally your drawing board. And so about 5 years later, that Wacom pad came out. You know
I've got them.
Right. Well, I've used that. I've worked on things like that, and I've also coloured and lettered on a computer. I just like to paint. I just like to draw. I like to feel the pencil, and I like to, you know, you can see that there. You can see the progression from the pencil work from the ink to the colour. I just like to do it, and at the end of it all. At the end of it, I've got that to sell.
Yeah,
you know, there's a real piece of artwork. So I just like to draw.
Yeah, I think
you see, it sounds really arrogant, but you know, I always say this. It sounds arrogant, but I don't care. I don't care if it is. People say to me, it's better working on a Wacom pad because you can undo your mistake. And I say, well, get it right then.
Yeah.
Because if you've got a chance to undo it a million times, you're going to do it wrong 999,999 times. If you have to get it right, you might just get it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I received just before we came on, I received you know, the opening page, double page to this, you know, to this comic that we've got, right? That we're getting prepared to send out to people in February. So our Kickstarter is over, and in July. So now we're just getting all the colored work in, and like, so between myself, my colorist, and my artist, we're going back and forth on this one big, huge opening scene page, and going, hey, where's the smoke? And I'm going, shit, did I leave it out of the script? So I go back to the script, and I go back, no, I didn't, but I didn't tell it right. Somewhere in between the three of us, I had missed something out, and so I went back. You know, this week, the entire week's taken with just me, the three of us just working out, and I finally got it, and like, wow, you know, I think, and you're right about the tradition. You know, if you're doing it with digital, you can go back, change it, and but then you have no reason to put it out anything that's not up to par as well, you know, and because everybody else is competing for the same thing. But I think, to me, like, let's talk about like Fund My Comic, right? And we'll come back into the character. So, well, here we go. So with Fund My Comic, right? What made you go to this way, to this site rather than to Kickstarter or Indiegogo with
mainly because of Luke. He had Luke. I listened to your show the other night. Because of Luke. Luke is a friend of mine, and I trust him. And it's what you were talking with him about, and what we talk about on other podcasts. That, you know, I mean, it's not my site, so I'll just say what I think Luke does. He doesn't sort of prejudge, as long as it's not sort of pornographic or anything like that. Which is, you know, people just to go sideways. People think they want to live in a world where there's no, what do you call it? No, but it's just open, and there's no censorship.
No boundaries.
You have to have censorship because you can't have stuff coming on for kids and all that kind of thing. So you have to have censorship. So, but basically, I like Luke said to you the other night, and we've said to each other and to another podcast, he doesn't care what politics you've got, what you do.
Right.
He wants to put your comic out, and basically you both want to make some money on it and get the work out there. So that's the way I think. There is room for everything. There has to be, because everything is there. But on this, we're trying to produce good comics, just fun comics with nice artwork, good writing, and that's what we're doing. And that's why I came to this, because I've heard a lot of rumors about the other two big crowdfunders. I don't know whether those rumors are true. but it wouldn't surprise me, and so I've come here.
Well, they did, like, there was a whole thing where they were like, you know, if they don't agree with what you believed in, you're out, and that's not the way to run business. I mean, even myself, I've you know, I have certain issues with certain things, but so I you know, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop those people from doing what they want to do, as long as they're not harming people through their work.
Yes.
And I think I love comics because I think, like you said, there's so many things you can do with it. There's so much joy that comics brings. That first time, you know, you pick up a Tintin book, right, or an extract book, and you laugh along with the Gauls and, you know, beating up friggin' you know, the Romans, and they go crashing. And then also you got Tintin, and he goes on an adventure, and you're like going along with them, you know. And then as you grow, you know, you get to bigger books, like, you know, you get to, you know, 2000 AD, and then, you know, you get to watch movies about those characters and stuff. And, you know, I think we do a disservice to artists by saying, no, you can't do that, and you can't do that, because I mean, like, as an artist, as a writer, I'm always censoring myself, right? Because I go, this is an all ages book, so this has to have certain things, and this can't have certain things, you know. And you go, and, you know, and that's the way it's got to be. And you're right, you got to have boundaries. You can't just be you know, the Wild West, like they say, right? You know, just don't agree with somebody and you unperson them, which is what's happening right now, you know, with Russell Brand. But I think, I just love the joy of art and the comics, and I've always, you know, if I'm sitting there and I've got nothing to do, I'm looking at comics, or I'm drawing if I got a pen and paper, just whatever. I'm designing. I can't illustrate anymore, so I just design logos and stuff. So with Fund My Comics, and having talked to Luke and decided to do it on there, how was it? You know, was it hard trying to get your stuff on? What was the period like to try to get it on?
It took as long as I took to produce, to upload it. It took me a few days because I'm doing other work as well. So I purposely took my time. It was easy to do. The other two platforms aren't difficult to do.
Yeah.
But I would advise anybody's going to do something like that. I would advise that they sit down for 10 minutes and just write down what they're going to do in terms of what they're going to upload, and get it all ready to upload in one shot as much as you can. Which is contradictory to what I just said, because that took a few days. But I've done a few crowdfunders, so I know what to do.
Yeah.
Understand? So go on the site, take a look around, see what's going on, and then just take your time uploading. Make sure you've got all your prices right and all the stuff, and, you know, all the important stuff. And just, I mean, I even had fun uploading all this stuff and writing about it and everything. You know, it is easy to do. It's easy. It looks a bit daunting, but it is quite simple when you get into it.
Yeah, I mean, we just did one in July, and that was, you know, it felt, you know, it's a business, and you got to see it as a professional thing. And you know, because you're not here to treat, because this, I feel like people don't understand that crowdfunding is a shop, right? It's your item in a shop, and you got to make your item look as pleasing and as good and as clear for the retailer, which is the funding side, to be able to, you know, set it out there for you. And you're competing with so many people, and so you got to make sure, you know, your work is up to par. And I love the traditional work you're doing. The painting and stuff, like, this is so cool, man. This is amazing, just the detail and stuff. And
well, the story on that pyramid there, is, I think I put it in the text, that's the, you know, supposedly the pyramid of Khufu that appears on Hatch's asteroid. He lives on an asteroid in the middle of space, in the middle of nowhere. It must be in the book. It says there's 2.5 million blocks of stone in that Khufu pyramid, and I know because I've drawn them all, as you can see. I've drawn them twice because I had to ink it as well. So that piece of artwork is huge, you know. But it's like I said before, I just like drawing. You know,
Yeah,
I just like drawing, and
it's
if you,
beautiful, man. Like the detail, right? I'm
yeah,
almost like, as someone who used to do stuff like this until I had my accident, you know, I just sit at work and just doodle away and be really detailed. And I look at this and I'm really amazed, you know, the amount of time and, you know, to make sure it looks like what you want it to look like and what it should look like, you know,
yeah.
when people look
Well,
at it.
it's like we say again. If you look at the left there, it's not completely rendered properly, but your eye will fill it in. Your eye knows, and it will fill it in. You know.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People are smart, you know, and I think a lot, like, the mainstream comics don't understand their customer anymore. People are comic readers are the smartest people around, because they've been, like, especially if you're like about 30-40 years old, they've been reading comics for at least 20-30 years of their life,
Yeah.
and they've read a lot of things. It's like me, you know, the other night I went to a concert, and as soon as I heard this band, I knew this band was awesome, right? And I like, for 35 years plus, I've been listening to heavy metal, all types, Obituary to, like, I read the other, to glam metal, Poison. I had those those tapes, cassettes, right? So when a comic reader comes and sees art, they know it, you know, they know
Yeah.
this is, yeah. And I think, you know,
Well,
we gotta give the, you know, the fans what they want. So tell me about the character a bit more. You know, who is Hatch and what is he about? You know.
well, he lives alone on an asteroid, which I've got. I can show you. I can show you the artwork here for it if you want the asteroid.
Yeah.
This is the actual artwork of where he lives.
Oh wow.
And you can see him there. Can you see him?
Yep.
There
Yep.
he is.
There. Yep.
That's
On
where he
the
lives.
left there. Wow.
Right there.
There's so much detail, man.
Yeah.
And it's traditional,
Yeah.
right?
It's
You
all.
painted that.
Yeah. It's all on a piece of board. People think I'm crazy, but, you know, they're probably right. If you look at the stars.
Yeah.
Those stars, people use a toothbrush to flick them on. I don't do that. I draw star fields because I know about astronomy.
Yeah.
So I actually put them on.
With little brushes, yeah.
No, with a pen.
Ah, right.
And
So that's the white. Is it is that a paint pen?
Yeah, and it's the.
I think I've got one in a lot of stationery. Who's that other character at the back there?
That is a Moai from Easter Island.
Okay.
One of the
head, right?
Yeah, he's not found that yet, but I thought I'd put it on as a teaser, so it's so good for you for seeing it. And you know, I just like drawing. You know, I'll show you another one. So there he is.
It's a lot of people, like, they do, like, what is it? Is that the normal side of a comic book page, or is it extra large?
No, this
it looks pretty large.
This is bigger, yeah. This is bigger than that.
That's wicked, man. And that's all hand painted, right?
Yeah.
With brush.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
Every bit of it.
With all that paintings and stuff, I'm just wondering, have you done, or are you thinking of doing a gallery thing? You know.
What do you mean by gallery thing?
Well, like, do it like a local gallery, and you know, put it on the wall, and you know, and see people want to buy it.
Well, my wife's an artist as well, and we had an exhibition a few years ago with our other paintings and things like that, because I do oil paintings and stuff like that. She does ceramics and all this kind of thing. She draws as well, and she writes, and she does the voiceover on my films and all this.
Yeah,
kind of
I was going to ask you if that was her voice.
Yeah, and you know, we're a team, and we've got, or she's got a couple of exhibitions coming up with her ceramic artwork soon.
What is she, a sculptor or?
Yeah, well, if you scroll down, in fact, if you want me to get the actual one, I can do.
Please, and I'll grab my one while you do that.
Right.
Right. Right. So, while Glenn's getting his stuff, so I also do sculpture, clay, whatever you want to call it, ceramic. So a couple of years ago, like about 2014, I decided I wanted to get back into art, and I put a post up on Facebook, and my friend, who I went to, art school with, drops off a bag of clay while I'm sleeping. Right, so he drops the sculpture clay off, a bag about 20 kgs or 15 kgs at the door, and I don't know, and I go outside and I look later on because I'm sleeping, and I see there's a bag of clay, and I go, "Hey, somebody just dropped a bag of clay," and he goes, "Oh, bro, DMs, I dropped it off." So I took the bag of clay and I made 4 of these. This is a rugby ball, hollow, right? You can see it's hollow in there, and it's hand built because I can't do throw. I can't on a wheel because I had an accident like 3 months into my art school. So I hand build sculptures. That's why it's excites me that your wife does that. So I thought I'd show that out, because the other day I was pulling that up as well to just say I don't just do comics, right? I'm a trained craft person.
Yeah. Well,
so show us your wife's one, because I'm just quite excited about this.
She's a ceramic artist. She does huge pieces of artwork, like as big as your fridge, in clay. So she did me that.
Oh my goodness!
Look at that.
I've been thinking about doing something like that within Creator Girl, like just a head or something, because that is so awesome, man. Look at the details on that.
Isn't that fantastic?
Is she using iron ore or to do the coloring? Yeah.
Oxide, iron oxide.
Oxide. Yeah. That's so cool.
Well, the thing is, you see that this is for sale on the campaign,
right?
But we don't want to sell it.
Yeah,
but we if anybody buys it, it's a lot of money, and we can't lose. We'll have money to travel.
Yeah.
And because that's what we'll use it for, and if nobody buys it, then we keep it.
Yeah, it's a win-win, right? But I think it's hard. It's hard sometimes. It's hard to give up what you really, really, passionate about. And I've had people, I remember one time I went to, I was doing it I was telling a story, and stuff, and then I walked off the stage, because I was with my mate Michael Batur, who's going to be on in a couple of weeks, on one talking about his books. But so I come off, and there's a guy there, and he goes, he's one of those arty-farty types. Those types, those toffee nose kind of attitude people who think they've got they have this brilliant thing, and nobody's ever done it before. It's their thing, and they never want to share it with the world because they're afraid that the world will not treat it the way they love their baby. And so I was having this thing. I said, "Look, dude, it's about art is about communication. You're communicating with the world about your story or your art. What is this about? This is about neo-traditional rugby. Our 12 rugby teams in New Zealand, right? So it's about rugby, but so each area I've got a little thing that goes, okay, this is for Northland, this is for Southland, this is for Taranaki, for Christchurch, and I'm going to do 24. I've only done 4 so far, and I'm talking to him, and he's like, and I'm getting frustrated because he doesn't understand what art is, right? Art is communication. And so you're communicating your story or your art to somebody else. And when you do that, you are now having a conversation with them about what you've done, like we're doing here, right? And but if you just don't put it out there and you keep it, it's my precious, and nobody's going to know what you've done. So you're just nobody really.
That's right.
Because your art's not out there. And I think I love seeing traditional work. I love seeing things built with hands. And even though we did 3D stuff, right? I'd love to see this done as you've got there with Hatch. That is beautiful, man. Can I see it again? Because there's so much detail in that. Let's have a look at the platform. Because I think a lot of people, when there's that's so cool. I mean, she did an amazing job.
The sad thing is is that on his feet, his boots, she did the tread.
Right.
But you can't
But
see
now you
them
can't see it, right?
because he's standing up.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether you can see it at the side. You can't see it now.
It's
But
a bit dark,
he's got the treads on his boots. But it is a fantastic
Yeah.
thing. It's quite heavy as well. It's about 8.5 inches high. I also said on the I think I said it on the campaign, I'm not sure, but I thought, well, if somebody does buy this, I'm gonna hand deliver it. I'm not gonna trust this to the post.
No. Yeah.
I'm gonna,
yeah.
so if
no
somebody
way.
so if
that's,
somebody
that's one thing I was thinking about, right? Because
Yeah.
like the neck there and stuff like that,
yeah.
you just can't.
If
You know?
if somebody in New Zealand buys this, I'm gonna take it to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And bang on their door. But it is a fantastic thing. But in
is.
the book, in the annotated book, Helen
Yeah.
has written a piece in there describing and what she does and how she's produced it. So you'll know that about that. There's also a film on the campaign where you can see where we take it out of where she takes it out of the kiln.
Yeah, let's have a look at that because I
go right
missed
down to the bottom.
Yeah, so being a sculptor, like for me, I don't do kiln work anymore. I just go drop it off and they do it for me.
Right.
You know?
Well, she fires it. You see, she has her own studio and she fires it. You'll see.
Wow. Where are we at?
Somewhere. Just go. That's it. Keep going down.
Yeah.
Stop there. That link there. That blue link. The blue one. Yeah. That shows you.
Okay. So I'll stop that and I'll grab that link. Yeah. I just like one of the things for me is like when I go to see like when I got artists, right? I've got friends who we're going to be talking to about.
Here we are at Oldham at Helen's studio. I'm going in now. Look at this fantastic building. Look at this. This is the full length one. This is about 6 minutes long, but you'll see. That's her studio there.
You know, yeah.
There we go.
Just put us down the bottom so we get it.
Fantastic studio. Look at that. And she teaches as well, you say.
Yeah, I was just wondering, right? Yeah, when I was in my 20s, this is where I was, right? And this is like about 94, 95. Yeah, 94, 95,
to the
and
kiln
half
room
97.
now. To see how the Hatch figurine has turned out.
We sculptors are a bit crazy. People don't realize how, when we get in the zone, we get in the zone. And, get away. I'm doing something.
You've got 3 kilns.
Wow. Hey, question. Has she done any raku?
Yes, she does. Yeah, she does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing with these ones, like the first 4 doing raku.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
The Japanese style where you just shove it into a rubbish bin all the temperature hits it and it looks different.
She has done that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I'm just going to leave this now for 10 minutes. Just wait for the temperature to come down just a bit more, and then
you burn yourself.
Yeah.
2,000 years later.
There's the top of his head.
Right. So you guys put something around to like not to have the temperature like mess with it.
That's so that the other stuff doesn't explode and destroy it.
A few moments later.
Okay. Look at that.
That's the bisque firing before the oxide goes on.
Yeah. That's basically this.
Yeah. That's right.
Before you do anything to it, it just sits there, and then you decide what color.
When she was making it, I photographed it, so in the book you can see the development of it.
Yeah. That's so cool.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
was just thinking how like it's on the platform and you got to like make sure that like, you know, you're gentle with it so the legs don't. And has she put any wires in it or something to keep it, you know?
No, no,
just
all,
clay.
yeah, it's all weighted and everything. This is obviously outside where she works, and these guys are, I don't know what I think they're security guys or something.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
Stop there. It doesn't spin round this thing, but you know, you need one.
The old wheel.
Yeah.
I miss doing clay work, you know, but it's like, you know, it's like you got so many things going on and like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I tried it, but it's not for me. I like to draw.
Yeah. It's so cool.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. How long did it take her to actually build it?
She did it over a few weeks. She wasn't working on it all the time, so I don't know how many hours it was, but it's quite a few.
Yeah. What I love is to see, you know, when your drawing becomes physical, becomes 3D, you know, like that's what I mean. So when I get to see that in 3D, I go, oh my goodness, you know, it's real, right? It's popped off the page now. You know?
Somebody said to me that you could tell a cartoon had made it when you could recognize it from its shadow, and I think you can from this as well when you see his nose and everything.
Yeah. So cool.
But she decided to do his helmet fastened because it would be too fragile, you know.
Yeah.
But it worked there. There's his shadow. Look, you knew who that is.
16 paranoia-filled days later.
And this is when it's been glazed and everything, and the oxide.
The wash for the final finish.
Yeah.
Oh no, wow.
The thing about the fragility of ceramics at this stage, you don't know if it's gonna, like, you're the final stage, even that's gonna be like, oh, it's ruined, did it wrong, now I gotta start again.
Well, yeah, this bit is good because it's welded itself to it.
No.
So she gets this piece of wood. You'll see. Just watch what she does. It won't come off.
Yeah.
A bit of a blow because it needs a bit of a tap to come off.
Because the oxide has now, you know, basically joined it to both pieces, right?
Yeah. So watch this now.
Tap, tap, tap.
That's it. Look at that.
It's like cringe material. Wow, it's like, look at that point, you could like basically destroy the whole thing. And all those weeks of work.
I'm pleased with that.
Look at the ground. And then rocks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I have a friend who also, you know, does raku and stuff like this, and you know, but she also does cosplay.
Right. All right.
So I had her up here at our convention. I think it was last year, and actually I might have a photo of her on here. Which one is it?
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Here she is. So Judy Rogers. They actually did a documentary about her. She's a self-taught steampunk artist.
Right.
Like, and she sells stuff all over the world, but she's self-taught. She was a seamstress, you know, and so she designs her own you know, dresses and stuff, and steampunk, you know, costumes and stuff, and she actually does commissions now, but she does this more, you know, the artwork, and people just buy it off all around the world. Just, that's beautiful, man. I like.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
To see it in 3D, right?
Yeah. Like,
it's real. You know, it's no longer just page.
I'm also in touch with an animator who's going to produce a short. Because ever since I designed him 40 years ago, I saw him as animation.
Yeah.
That's your lot. That's it.
That's awesome. What was it? Yeah, I've got a friend, down in Wellington, Nugget. He comes on. It's called Nugget. All right, Nugget. And but he's a caricature artist, and we also had him up, at Plunge last year. And he's from Wellington, but he does animation for music videos for folk music videos, and like they put some, like, it's like any artist. There's so much time involved in it.
Yeah.
You've got your wife who has built this, and the other night I was talking to a group of farming type people, right, who couldn't understand why they had to pay extra to see the live concert, the artists, because they just come and had dinner, had their beer, and they're sitting around, and now it's time to move on because that's what the council says. All right, now it's just for the band. The bar's closed now. If you haven't bought a ticket, you got to leave. And they're like, why do we have to leave? I just spent $70 on food. I have a couple of, $50 on beer or something, and now I got to leave. It's like, I said, look, dude, there's 3 artists, these 3 bands coming on, right? They've traveled all the way from Auckland to us, which is about 2-hour drive. There's the main headliners. There's 6 people on the main line, on the main band. There's another 5 people on the other band, and the opening act is a single rapper. So you're basically got about 12 people, and you're only paying $35 to see them, which was on like the day before. On the day it was 45. So it's 25, 35, 45. And I try to explain, these are friggin' artists who spent all their time getting to the stage. They're brilliant. They're world class. As far as I'm concerned, the Shepherd's Reign is world class musicians, right? They're really good. They deserve to travel the world with their music. And so now you get to see them now. It's, why won't you pay to see them now? Because these guys have spent all their lives, basically most of their lives, learning how to play this good. And the value of art has diminished, I guess, because of TV, like the whole consumerism or streaming and stuff. We don't value it. It's like binge and out. That's it.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like you're sort of talking about like animating and stuff like that? As an artist, how do you feel about people's reception to what you're doing?
Well, on the animation side, it's 50 years ago when I was in college, one of the biggest thing I wanted to do was animation, because I had a stop motion film. And it's probably, I've done a little bit of animation, but I always said it's the thing I wanted to do the most in my career, and it's the only thing I haven't done. Because you see, my ambition way back, this is crazy. My ambition way back was to do every drawing for an hour-long animated. Now it's 24 frames a second. That's a lot of drawing.
If you go for the really high-end stuff, but you could get away with about 12. You could get away with 12.
Well,
with
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, not this new rubbish they put out. The original cartoon film, I think that came out in 1937. I think it was.
Yeah.
There's 2.5 million drawings made that film, and I wanted to do the 2.5 million drawings for my film, which I don't really think I've got time if I wanted to do it now. But there's a new program called Blender. It's free, and you can do it. And I'm trying to get the time. I've been. What I do is I've been working on a couple of Hatch animations myself, very, very basic, and I work on it for a week, and then I've got to do some work, and then I forget. I'm the kind of person who needs to do something 6 times. I don't get it first time, but after 5 or 6 times, I've got it, and I can't take the time because I'm doing other stuff like putting this thing out and worrying about this and all the rest of it. But the animator I'm using is what I call a real animator. He draws the individual cells. He doesn't have a software to move it along, which, but it's just I think he's an animated character. I think that's where he should be. I saw that from day one. It's very simple, very basic. But then I turned it into a comic because I couldn't do the animation and all that kind of thing. And now I can't. Now I can't find the time to learn the program to do it myself. You know. So.
Yeah.
But I just, you know, let's show you this one. This is
right.
Helen comes up with the best storylines, right? This is you've heard that song by Glenn Campbell, Hatchet Lineman. You must have heard that, Hatchet Lineman. You must have heard that.
How does it go? How does it go?
I'm not going to sing it. But anyway, it's about this guy. So I've got
find it.
Sorry, Wichita Lineman. You've heard of that, Wichita Lineman?
Which?
Wichita.
Wichita.
Wichita Lineman. You must have heard it.
Here we go. I'm sure I've heard it. There's like it's been,
Well, this is the Hatchet Lineman. There he is up on his thing.
Hold on to it. Let me get you on solo. Here we go. Show us again. We can get more details. Oh, look at that. Oh man, I just love the colors. There's just this natural feel to the color. It's because you painted. It's like this. It's like the natural, like traditional art is something I just don't want people to lose. That idea because like when I was telling my nephew, I said, draw, pen to paper. 50% there, digital 50%. 50% there, 50%. Don't just stick it on one side. I miss the fact that I can't do what I used to do, detail work like you're doing. And when I was about 20, and I lost that because of the accident. And it just feels like we become too reliant on like computers and stuff, and we get to cheat. I cheat a lot, right? Because with me, I do a collage of what I want, and I send it off to my artist.
Yeah.
And he comes back to me, and I go back again, and it's all computer, right? So there's no like actual physical thing between us. But I've carry on.
That's one of the advantages of the computer, where you can just send it over the wire. Like I sent you some artwork just before, whereas if we were working on this together, it'd take weeks because of the post. But this is let me just show you this artwork. My dad was a paratrooper on D-Day. Okay, and I wrote a book and published a book about it, and did spot illustrations in it. And this is one of them. This is one of the illustrations in the book.
Oh, look at that.
But I like doing the detail. Awesome. Look at his badge. Look.
Yeah. I miss doing stuff like that. That's why I always encourage people to go traditional. Yeah. Like actually do pen to paper.
Yeah. I just like doing it.
Yeah. One of the things, like you just mentioned there, right? So a couple of weeks ago, there was this thing about actually keeping white people out of publishing. Right? Did you hear about that?
White people out of publishing?
Yeah, because we're going to push. So, and I was very, they were going to push every other thing but keep white people. So if you're a white man, right, straight white man, and you write a story about your dad, and you want to get this published out to the world, no.
Why?
And I was so angry because my dad's dad, like you said about your dad, my dad's dad was a minesweeper. Right, in the Channel, and he ended up in Russia to get his frostbites fixed, and I think he spent about 3 months in Russia, and when he came back to England, people were not happy with Russia at that time, so they didn't recognize his service as a minesweeper because he was hospitalized in Russia, who at that time were allies, and I think. So I could write that book, but my dad couldn't. That's what I felt like, that these guys were trying to do that I could write my granddad, right? My English granddad, because I'm Indian and so-called minority, so-called POC, racist word, and all that, I could get a chance. But if my dad did it about his dad, no. and this I get so frustrated whenever I see this racist sort of stuff towards, because my dad's 85 now, right? He survived the Blitzkrieg and in England, and he was sent off to his, like the kids were sent off to the country to get away from the city. So he was one of those kids, and he was so not well treated. And so, and when you get to tell these stories, people don't want to hear those stories. They don't want to, promote those stories. And I'm like, you got to realize this is our history. This is our families that have gone through this, and you want to stop that because so-called white people are no longer, there. And the weird thing is, those people who are actually at the gatekeeping this are actually white people, right?
Well, what color was the guy who invented printing press?
Wasn't it freaking thing German guy?
Well, Gutenberg. But he got it from China. Movable type. That's just ridiculous.
I know, man. That's what frustrated me. So we just talked about that. I was like, why? Like they can't see their own racism.
Yeah.
And
inverted racism, isn't it?
Yeah. And if I came out here and said like, okay, no more Indians. We're never going to put Indians out here, and you'll be like, that's racist.
Yeah.
Same thing, and I just understand
it.
So
in that book, I spent you've seen the size of that sniper. It takes me a few days to do that, and I did. My dad was a Bren gunner, so I thought, well, that's not him, and I did this guy with a Bren gunner, and my dad firing at dawn. The raid he was on. It was at the Merville Battery in near Ouistreham in France on D-Day.
Okay.
My dad was one of the first Allied soldiers to touch France. Because he was there.
This is Dunkirk. You're talking about? Is it Dunkirk?
No, this D-Day.
Right.
This was since Dunkirk was 1940 when they kicked us out. The Germans kicked us out, and then we went back in 1944. So my dad and the other paratroopers were there a few hours before the guys on the landing craft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of artwork, I never throw anything away, but I spent 2 days drawing this. What I'm going to show you now, and it was rubbish. I didn't like it at all. And I was really pissed off because I spent 2 days on it. But when I came back to it, I thought, well, I've nothing to lose. I'm going to throw a load of color on it. And it turns out to be the best illustration in the book. I'll show you. Now you can see where it's not fully rendered.
Yeah.
So I just threw all that color on it and did that.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the best illustration in the book.
Yeah.
So don't throw anything away, chaps. Just put it to the side, do something else, and go back to it.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like with digital, same way. I'll just I'll go save it as some other name, and it'll be there.
Yeah,
and I'll just keep working on the next one, and then I'll go maybe like, oh, okay, missed something. And
well, when I wrote the book, what I wanted to do, it was the 75th anniversary a few years ago. What I wanted to do was do a parachute jump into Normandy, into the place where roundabout where my dad was. I don't know exactly where it was, but I couldn't do it because of my back. My wife said, "You're not doing it because of your back," and she's right. But so I was going to do that. But anyway, so what I did, I got in touch with the 6th Airborne Club, and I've been in contact. I've done pencil illustrations of some of the guys, granddads and dads who were there, who would know my dad.
Yeah,
and I sent this guy the book, and he sent it me back, and it was signed by all the people who jumped into Normandy that day. The jump team. That page.
That's never leaving you, is it? And
that page there, all those people, they jumped on that day. But he jumped with the book.
Right.
He jumped. He had the book in his this book in his tunic.
Right.
So this book has done the jump that my dad did.
Wow.
Isn't that fantastic?
So this is like so set the scene, right? So these guys did a reenactment of their jump.
Every year they do it. They jump out of C-47 Dakota planes.
Right.
They have modern parachutes, but they wear the kit that my dad would wear, most of them.
Yeah.
And there's about 30 or 40 of them. There's 2 planes, and they do the jump every 5th of June. or, early 6th to 6th of June.
Yeah,
follow the same route that my dad took and all that kind of thing, and they landed at this place called Nervy, which is near Weestrum, near Normandy. It's in Normandy.
Yeah,
and they had to knock out these cannons.
I just thought of Band of Brothers. Is that shown in Band of Brothers somewhere?
No, that's the 101st US Airborne. They're the other side of Normandy. They're to the west of Normandy.
Right.
They're about they're probably about 60 miles to the west.
Okay,
that's but they were jumping at the same time.
So, like, one of my comic book this is why I'm interested in like war, researching war, and every time I like a Second World War and First World War because of Granddad. But whenever I go out, because I always go thrift shopping, right? So I'll grab I'll find DVDs, I'll find books, I'll pick up, I actually ended up picking this up the other week,
right? And
now I have a complete set which I've never had, but I loved it as a kid, and actually almost got in a fight over the first movie, with some ruffians, but in the cinema. But I always pick up the music. Like I'll get like the music from World War I and II and all the the DVD, like especially now with all the CDs, like everybody's getting rid of them because like it's like you don't want physical media. I'm like, I'll take your freaking physical media. So in front of them, I've got $3 freaking DVDs of all different things. Like this week, I was able to pick up, all these.
Yeah.
And this is like a 4-disc collector's set for $3.
Yeah.
Right. That nobody, somebody basically decided, well, everything's streaming now. I don't have to worry about having this physical thing. I'm like, I'll take that. So, but I do get the books as well. And so one of my characters is called Red Dot. And the story behind that is, and this is why I'm really interested in what you're doing, is that he's an SAS officer, right? And so when you look at like the British, you probably know way more about that than I do, with the hierarchy. Like we got the Green Berets over in America, but over in the is it RAF or what is it? What are they called? Are they SAS as well? In the UK?
Are there?
Yeah.
We have the SAS. Yeah.
Right. So carry on.
They were. I think my dad worked with them just before D-Day. He was in North Africa. Special Air Service. They're like the Green Beret. They're just special troops, and they don't sort of have any. They don't get to know people very well, and they just do stuff and go in and do it and get out. But now they use helicopters. I don't think they parachute into places now, but they, But yeah, he worked with them, I'll say.
Right.
So,
like, did you get stories from him? Like when you because like you're writing the stuff about him, but did he tell you stories?
No. The veterans don't talk about this, do they?
Yeah.
He told me a few things, and told me I've got a few quotes, and so what I did was, I love researching things. I really like the research part of stuff.
Right.
And so what I did was I just wrote down the little things he told me, and just researched the hell out of it, and just wrote a story around it, and I think it's the best thing I've done so far. So I just think it's I just wish he was here to read it, and then he could tell me where it was wrong. But he didn't.
Well, at least, you're not going to be like chided over mistakes because he's not there to correct you now.
Well, it's a dramatization, put it that way.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't there, and everybody who was is just gone now. And all that kind of thing. But what I'm hoping to do, I'll say hoping. What I'm hoping to do is there's a museum down there. I'm going to take some of this artwork, get it framed.
There's Normandy, right?
Yeah, and put it in the museum, donate it to the museum. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it'll be there forever, because those guys down there, they love British paratroopers and American paratroopers because they kicked the Germans out,
Yeah, and this is what people don't understand. They're like, there's so much history and so much hard sacrifices people made, you know, for us to
Well, this
have
is
the freedom that we have.
you know, you were saying about racism,
Mm.
and I think it's a condition because nobody I've not spoken to every French person, but of the ones I have, they don't have a problem with British people.
No.
Of the black people I know and the Indian people I know, I'm not saying that some people don't. Some people, you know.
Oh, there's always someone there.
Yeah, but it's not like you would think it was, or you told it is. Although there is trouble and all that and all that kind of thing. But generally, I think people just want to go home and just be safe. There's a few nutcases walking around who want to kill everybody all the time.
Yeah.
But generally, people just get on. And what I do, I'm sure you're the same. But what I do, if there's something I don't like about somebody or they're doing something, I'll just go away. Just leave me alone. I don't want to. I don't want to beat anybody up. Just leave me alone. You know.
Yeah, I just want to do my own thing. Just just do your thing, and and it was like that the other night. Like it was like, I'm gonna get that guy. I'm like, why? You know, the guys had a few. I'm like, why? We're just sitting here enjoying them.
Well, there was
it's so weird.
A friend of mine. His dad told him he was at D-Day. He got off a land. He managed to get off that beach. How anybody got off that beach, I don't know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He said that, but when he knew this French guy, who's not here now, but this French guy, he was only a boy at the time, but he watched his dad. He loved British soldiers because when the British soldiers, and it could have been American soldiers, but it was the British soldiers came up off the beach onto the road. He lived there. He was when D-Day was going on, it was about a mile away.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, what the hell's going on? But when the soldiers came, when they secured it and the soldiers were coming past and going inland and the tanks and the trucks, they were giving him tins of corned beef and chocolate and milk and cigarettes. And he hadn't had any of this stuff for 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah.
And every time the truck came past, he'd wave at them and chuck him food. And he had all this food. He'd fed him for 6 months on corned beef.
Yeah.
So, you know.
People don't know how easy we have it, man. I just don't know why people don't appreciate what they have, you know?
Because it's easy. It's come easy, hasn't it? So now they're bringing it down.
We've never, my generation hasn't made any sacrifices. Like Gen X, right? 50 years old. We've never really sacrificed anything, right? But we've worked hard to bring all this technology to life. You know, like with computers, internet, and all that. My generation has done all that, but this generation basically goes, "I'm bored."
Yeah,
and let's cause some. So I'm going to cause problems because I'm bored. And I'm like, how can you be bored? There's so much easy stuff to do. You know, like you can go on a computer and learn something. I spend a lot of time on YouTube just listening to people and watching stuff. Like I'm doing dishes. I'm watching 17-minute videos of somebody talking about comics instead of comics. I'm doing dishes while I'm doing that. I'm doing the vacuuming, and I've still got something on, but I'm learning all the time. And the greatness of having YouTube is that you could learn so much. Like just now, we watched you paint, right? And we could see you paint that. You're like, and you could do a freaking masterclass just in that. So
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, so when because I was depressed for 2 years, like I was locked up because I had lost my business and my dream, like dead. And so I felt dead inside. And so when I actually came out, my sister and, my brother-in-law saved my life a couple of years back. So I was, I became a bit more appreciative. But the other thing is when I came out, I started listening to TED Talks.
Yeah.
I learned about my brain. I learned why my brain was messing me up all the time, why I felt depressed, or why I was on I was on a scale, right? I'm on ADHD, whatever, neurodivergent scale. I learned all that because I was watching TED Talks on YouTube, and I was going from what is going on, why? And so I remember getting really frustrated and going and silent screaming in the bathroom while the shower was on to get rid of my frustration and then come back out refreshed. I'm like, I'm not going to let this get me down because I've had this go on for 2 years of my life. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so for the last 5 years, I've been spending all my effort right, to really do stuff. And I've been able to do really good stuff and to help other people. But if you're just going to be out here going, I'm bored and let's bring other people down, and push, cancel people, or, be on YouTube and going, look at me, doing something silly just to get like that guy, like that African guy, Johnny Summers, dude, right, in Japan, causing problem, and like this, that whole attitude. Why would you do that? Those guys, if you weren't on YouTube and if you weren't known, those guys will get the Yakuza, you'll be dead. Right? Because they take their shit seriously.
Yeah.
And they went to his house and now he's arrested because he was like causing problem to little girls on the train. Right? And talking about World War II, about the bombing in Hiroshima. It's like, do you know how much trauma these people have had to go through, their families and all that? And you just want to make a joke about it and to just get your YouTube channel, whatever. And I just feel like people are not understanding how easy it is to become a musician right now, to become an artist right now, to be a writer, because you got the entire world's greatest people teaching you how on these channels.
Well, you're right. What was it? Being the mid-70s when I was writing my first published book.
Yeah.
I would go down to the main library, big library, fantastic, millions of books.
Yeah.
And I tell this story. I was writing about the JFK assassination, and I would go and get the books, read them, and take notes and all this kind of. I still got all the notes from that 50 years ago and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And in a day, I'd go down Saturday morning. I'd be there all day
Right.
till it closed at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Getting all these different books. And in a day, I would be in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
And then I'd be in Washington. I'd be in New Orleans. I'd be in Saigon.
Yeah.
Right. But now I can do it like that on the computer.
Yes.
And go further. I can be on that. I can be on Alpha Centauri in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that people don't see that tool. But the thing is, I think less people read. I think people read less now than they did when I was doing that, because I don't know anybody. I've read about 600 or 700 books. You can see, right?
Yeah.
And I wish I'd made a list of them all.
Yeah.
Because I like to read different things. They're so diverse what I read about, because I like history, I like architecture, I like art, I like space travel, all sorts of stuff. In fact, I even wrote my own book about space travel. This is
out of the moon.
This is a story of the astronauts who didn't go to the moon.
Right.
Because they died in training. These guys would have gone to the moon. At least some of them would have done. These would here. These three. Grissom, these died in the Apollo fire. Those three.
Mm-mm.
And I wrote a book about that, because what I do is I like to put a spin on things. You see.
Yeah.
Because when I was writing my JFK book, there are 10 million books about JFK, where the bullets came from and how many snipers there were and all that. So I did it from an angle. I fictionalized it from Lee Oswald's head.
Yeah.
What he was thinking. You see what I mean? So that's what I like to do. But now with the internet, I can just, if I need to know about Saigon, I can just go on the internet and find out about Saigon. So I can.
I was watching a I don't know what country it was. It might be Philippines or Indonesia. This guy was just going through all these alleys of like poverty-stricken families who are just like shacks. They're just shacks. And it was just like is it fiberboard? Do you know that stuff that's like looks like fiberboard? So houses made of fiberboard or plywood. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so it's just rows, and it's like a maze. And there's only this much room, and they're walking around. There's a house, family there. There's a family there, and then there's like a family's home that's sunk into the water. It's like because they're on the a harbor or something, and it's just gone down. I could travel there by watching the YouTube video, and I could share in all these people's lives and watch how they live. And I appreciate everybody that does that to share their world with us, that I'm not able to go see that. Like Machu Picchu, I love Machu Picchu. I'd like to at least one day go there. And Japan, right? Those are two things I really want to go to. But like I get to see them through movies. I get to see those places through movies. I get to see those through where people are doing interviews from people over there. I get to see the artists working there. And I just feel like, I could spend all day watching podcasts and listening to people and, TED Talks, watching, people share their lives with me. And this is what it is, right? They're communicating their lives with us. And how can I be bored?
Well, if anybody gets bored, they want to travel, they go to Easter Island in my book. Yeah. I went there a few years ago. I took 1,000 photographs. This is one of my. Yeah. And it's just the most amazing place. It's got the big statues on it, And there they are. I see another one, sunset.
It's awesome.
Because what I do, I do the whole thing. Just a sec, I'll find it again for you. There's one that's fallen over.
And this is what, like, history of our peoples, right? And I think the problem we have is that we're trying to separate, there are people that are trying to separate people from people, right?
Yeah.
With whatever, like politics or whatever. But when you look at all these cultures and all this striving, it's awesome.
Sorry, go on.
I was just thinking, there are people that want to separate us from communicating with people and becoming friends with them.
Yeah.
And I feel like those people are there just to cause problems and try to make money off whatever their problems they cause. But us, there's no reason for us not to share and sit down over a coffee with anybody. And because then we'll learn about those people, we'll learn about their backgrounds, like you do with this book, right? You go there, you meet the people from Rapa Nui. And I mean, they made a movie from, called Rapa Nui. I think it was, and way back in the 90s, and you got to see, you got to see this weird place. And it's like so empty. And then they put this movie about how they were there and how it connects to us and in New Zealand and stuff. And I think the moment if we keep breaking down barriers between what people are trying to put between us, the more friendly we'll become, and I think that's what I hope for. I hope for that, like, I can just sit down with anybody and talk with anybody, and it doesn't matter where you come from, what you do, because at the end of the day, we're just freaking human beings, we communicate to each other, we flesh and blood, and I think there are people who just don't want us to be connected, and I love internet for that we can be connected and we can see how many things you've worked on, the work you've done. And the other day when I was talking to Luke, he said people should know about Glenn, right? I don't know why people don't know about Glenn. I was like, I've talked to him 2 years ago, bro. I know Glenn, but he goes, because he's got so much happening. And like, I think, it's just, at the end of the day, it's basically people are all about what they see in front of them. If you're not in front of them, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're not interested if it's not in front of them, and so the fight is to be in front of them. And I love the fact that, you're here with Hatch, right? So I just, I love the work you've done with this. I just, and all the other work you do,
If you, sorry, go on. Sorry.
Well, I mean, like you paint them all, it's not like, how we got AI and you could just basically take this and now it's this, but you've actually hand painted everything here.
Yeah.
And, and the detail that goes with it. I'm just going to pop this up in a new, larger one so we can have a look at the details on that. One sec, and I'll get you to talk about this. So, tell us what's going on with this one, because I mean, is this just a single page, isn't it? That's like
no, that's 2 pages. There's 2 pages. what had happened, it's called swamp gas. And you know how people tell you that UFOs are swamp gas or weather balloons?
Right, right.
Well, are you familiar with Roswell, the Roswell
Yes,
incident?
very much
Right,
so.
well,
Yeah.
you know the guy when was it Jesse Marcel? He went out and there was all this debris in it when it was like tin foil, and when he scrunched it up, it bounced back to its original shape.
Right.
Well, this is what this is. There's a crash in the night, and he comes out in his little spacesuit, and he picks up a piece of the tinfoil, he scrunches it,
Right.
he goes back, and that obviously his spaceship crashed into the side, and,
right.
And at the end of the story, he has a checklist, and it's got all these different pictures on it, and it's got things like a Sputnik and a B-2 bomber, and underneath it says swamp gas. And
right.
then and they're all ticked like he's seen them all. And the last one is a spacecraft, and it says swamp gas, and he's ticking it because do you see what I mean? But this is just what he finds. This is how crazy his world is. But I was just saying me and Helen were talking yesterday about it, where one of the funniest things about this series, I think, is that he lives on his own. He doesn't know anybody. He's never met anybody. He doesn't speak. Yet he comes back from the post office with a parcel. Do you know what I mean? And opens it up, and there's something in it, you know. So it's mad.
So, tell us about the story that you're writing with, that's going to come up after this, because this is just about the book.
Well, I've got just a second. I'll get a copy. I don't know where it's gone. I can't believe it. Can't find it. Anyway,
You'll come to you in about 5 seconds.
He goes in the pyramid.
Yeah.
What he does is he goes to comes back from the post office, and he's got this box, and he opens it up, and he's got 2 books in it, and one's Pyramids for Mummies rather than for dummies. You know that book when you get computers for dummies.
Yeah.
Well, it's that kind of thing, and he's also got a book called the Shaw Hatch Exemption. The Shaw Hatch, you know that film.
Shawshank Redemption.
And he opens the book, and it's cut out with a ball hammer in it. You know, like in the film. And he taps. He's building a pyramid, and then he taps away, and it's for 4 years later, and he's only got this little point. Yeah. So he's frustrated. So he throws the ball hammer at the mountain, and it turns into that pyramid that you saw. And he goes in. I'm not going to give any more away, but he goes inside, and there's all this stuff there. Yeah. I've got a printed copy somewhere. I can't believe I haven't got it. Just give me 2 seconds.
Yeah. I'll show you this other page we got where it's just the pyramid. That one. This one. Okay. So we were just talking earlier about this pyramid. This one huge page, like he works on double the size of a normal one, and so carry on.
I've got it. There he is with his with the ball hammer in the book. Right.
The ball pin.
The
ball pin hammer.
And there's the Shaw Hatch Exemption. Yeah. Right? And he's tapping away there with this thing for 4 years, and he gets frustrated, and he's only got nothing, so he throws a rock at it, and it lands on his foot. Right? Yeah. Lands on his foot there, and it all comes. He kicks it, comes crashing down, and then there's the color version of that pyramid.
Wow. And it's all hand painted, right?
Yep, all hand painted. And he goes inside, and it's just him on the walls. If you just look at that on the walls,
there's that one without the painting. But
yeah. Can you see he's on the walls? It's him.
Let me just put you back on. I'm just on the right. There we go.
It's all him.
Just a drawing. You like set it up like it's a pyramid and all that. Like the paintings on the pyramids.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And he just goes in there. I won't show you anymore. You'll have to wait for that to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's well, if you look on there, you can see. Sorry, you can see the when he goes through the hole.
Yeah,
you can see the hieroglyphics, and they're all him.
I remember watching YouTube videos about that. People going through the hole.
Yeah,
you know, and like actual real footage of that. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's just so scary. I was like, oh, I wouldn't want to be doing that. You know.
Well, it shows you in the book. The art, it shows you artwork from this, and it's this cover changes because I did there's a lot more drawing on this page, but I actually did him looking at himself when he's going in. So there was all this rendering that I did on this wall that I rubbed it out, you know. Just a sec. Let me just get rid of that. Okay. So it's I'm not sure when that'll be out. It'll be out in a few weeks, I think, because it's going to run with this campaign. I'm just talking to the publisher about that now. But that's all ready. I've even had these printed up, you know. So I've got 10 or 15 copies of it printed up. So yeah, it's good. I just like working on it. I think it's funny. Yeah. If you go back, scroll back to the top again, you can see me drawing in real time. It's only about 2 minutes long. Yeah,
this one?
Go down. We've seen that one. Then that one. Right. Pencil in the hatch. Just play that, and you'll see it.
Let me just pause. There we go. Thank you. And switch over to that one.
Because I showed it in real time because I wanted people to see how fast I work. There's no guys. This is just straight down on the paper.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing about years of practice and work, you know, like upskilling and constant like working at it. And like I said, that's why I keep saying, you know, I said to my nephew, go traditional, go digital, 50-50, because you need to learn how everything works.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah, you need to learn the basics of things. It's like anything. You need to learn the basics. You need to learn why things happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say, I would even say to him, forget the computer, just get a pencil and draw. It's much more satisfying. Or at least I think it is.
Well, it's. I think it's. You know, if it's going, if there's a push to computers, that like if you're doing both, and if you're applying for a job, you know, you're good at both things, so you're not going to lose out. Can you do digital? Yeah. Can you do traditional? Yes. So and I think that's something that's lost now. It's like people are going, I'll one over the other, and you lose out on income because of one over the other.
That's right. Yeah, that's very true. See, the thing is that you'll notice that people are going crazy on these computer systems now, and they are brilliant, and I use them on other things. But everybody always comes back to wanting that piece of original artwork on the wall.
That's it.
And with the computer, the best you're going to get is a print that everybody else has got. But the way I work, I can sell the original artwork and I can make prints.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling people. You got to do it that way. If your $1,000 painting, not everybody's going to afford that, or 500, whatever. Yeah. But if you do 100 prints of it and you sign it and say 1 of 100, 1 of 50, or whatever, you'll be making up the same amount for that $1,000 you want, you know.
Yeah.
And now you've doubled your income because of that.
That's
right. That's just, I think that people are not being taught how to be business minded, you know. And
you're right. I'm also offering on this this campaign this sketchbook.
Right. Let me put you on.
It's just what happened was I'll show you some more. It's just a sketchbook that I do, just pencil drawings.
Yeah.
And there's 100 pages. So there's 100 pages here of original artwork.
Right.
There's an ink one.
Right. And all signed, yeah?
Yeah, it's all signed. And I'm offering this physical book, this actual book. But I'm also, this is where the computer thing comes in. I'm also offering the contents of this book as a printed book,
Right.
and I'm also offering the PDF. So
Right.
you can get a PDF of all these pages, you can get a printed book of all these pages, and
Yeah.
you can get, and if you meet the price, obviously you get this actual physical book, and it's got 100 pages of artwork in it, you know, just rough sketches. Because what happens?
So that's it there, isn't it? Sketchbook original art.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I've got a few of them actually. So I was thinking if anybody bought one, I might put another one up as well, but nobody's bought one yet. So you get it. So that's the to me that's the good thing that comes out of the computer, because I can offer it on PDF.
Yeah.
I can offer it in print, and I can offer the original. So I can sort of sell it 3 times, sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know that's the thing about the computer. But the story is, let me tell you the story. When Helen's making dinner and we're having a glass of wine and I'm sitting there and I start doodling, and I drew Hatch on I just pick up any piece of paper that's lying around or an envelope or whatever, and I draw on it. So I've got all these sketches, thousands of him on envelopes and all this kind of thing. And one day there was a letter that she'd received, and I drew Hatch on it, and she had to return the letter. So
somebody's got original Glenn Fleming art out there, you know.
So what she did, she went and bought me a load of these books and puts them in front of me with a pencil, and I just draw, you know, in the book, because that way they're all nicely collected and I'm not upsetting anybody back at the Oldham Council, you know, whatever it was.
Yeah. I was wondering, like, you know, with all these things that you've got worked on, whether you could just do, you know, just a campaign with all the books that you've already worked on, like a full on, you know.
I'd love to, but that would cost a fortune, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it will. But what I'm thinking, like, I mean, which books did you have with with publishers and stuff? I mean, you know,
but it's still the cost. You see, they might not want to outlay the cost initially, because it would. Well, I'll tell you what I'm working on at the moment. I'm working on a new edition of my Rapa Nui book, and I'm doing it 300 by 300 millimeters. It's huge,
right?
Because I want to capture the photographs in it, you know,
right?
And this paper on this isn't that good, so I'm doing it on good paper.
John says 30 by 30 is like about it's like a coffee table book, yeah.
That's right, yeah. And I think it's coming up to like 200 pages so far, and the spine, I think, is going to be about 25 millimeters, about an inch spine. It's got. I don't think I'm going to put it out for sale. I think I'm just going to do it for me. But
just a one-off or just for family.
Just one for the archive, And I'm also going to do it with my dad's book as well, with the 8 seconds book, to get my artwork as big as I can and get the story there. I might offer it out. I might do something with it. I don't know.
Well, I want to show you something. Give me 1 sec. So, thrift shopping, right? And like,
oh wow, yeah, brilliant,
right?
Look at that.
$2-3.
Ooh,
right?
Look at that. Fantastic.
History. You know, and what is this? Don't forget those who. There's Alzheimer's. Somebody's put an Alzheimer's thing in there.
Right.
You know, this is New Zealand history, land of mutton and cakes.
Fantastic.
You know, and it's there. I haven't had time to read it, but it's there.
Yeah.
You know, and I have it now. And we're talking about the soldiers.
Oh yeah, look at that.
And
fantastic. Oh wow. Look at that.
Stuff. This is by Chris McNabb. Discover the personal experience of soldiers throughout the history of modern conflict, from 7 years war to the present day.
Wow.
You know, like
Wow.
You know,
Wow. Fantastic.
So you've got all these amazing people like yourself, right, who actually work and research the stuff, and we get to see, you know, stuff like this, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like there's huge books, and this is what you're talking about, the same thing, right? Like because we get to see people from you know, all throughout the Pacific Islands, and you get to learn about it. So myths and wonders of the southern seas.
It must have Easter Island in there.
Oh, definitely. It's all part of Pacific. So let me just have a look. This is actually I think it's a reference book, but it's, you know, it's from our library. It's been discarded. So let me see if you're contents. Melanesia, Micronesia. So where would Rapa Nui fall in?
Polynesia.
Right. So yeah, Polynesia's up there. So page 46. Polynesia. Oh, these. Oh, look. New Zealand Kiwi.
Oh, yeah.
Where are the Kiwis? So that would be New Zealand. Let me just dolphins.
There you go. I've been there.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it's like
that's a place called Tongariki.
Radical. You know, like, so, you know, you've traveled. You know, you've discovered all this stuff. So this is another one. Look, huge book.
Brilliant.
This is your 1-inch book, the one you're talking about, like doing it one. This is how big that book's going to be. You know,
I'm in the spine, but there's me at Tongariki, that place you just showed.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's you know, I think my job should be traveling the world and writing and taking photographs. I think that should be mine.
Check out this one.
Oh yeah, come on.
Unauthorized version of things. So it's a cartoon history of New Zealand, right?
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, it's all these crazy stuff that, you know, and I'm like, I'm taking this home. You know, I'll come back and collect it later, but here's the money for it, because I'm not going to walk around town with it. You know,
yeah,
I have enough problem with walk around with weights around on my back. But having someone like you traveling and writing, you know, having something that we can actually look back at the experiences you've had through that, I think it's awesome. You know, I'm very appreciative of what people do and what they bring to the world with what they do, right? Like artists, musicians, filmmakers and stuff. And I just love talking to them, because I find that you can learn so much just by talking to people. And that's why I think everybody does want us to be connected, you know, be distant from each other, because they don't want us to learn from each other. That's and right. You get, you know, have you been to New Zealand, or did you just go to Rapa Nui and Polynesia and stuff like that?
North and South America, Europe.
Right.
You know, but I went to India, trekked across there for 6 weeks. That was an experience. But I'm writing about that as well. And that's, in fact, I'm always writing my autobiography.
Yeah.
And it's 80,000 words so far. And I'm not yet 25 in it.
Yeah.
So I've got a bit of catching up to do on that one.
Yeah.
But just my experiences, just my thoughts. Because when I go away, I always take, to keep an extensive diary. I always write my day up. I always keep notes. And because of what I do, apart from the actual printing, I did everything on this book. I went there, I took the photographs, I wrote the book, I designed the book.
Right.
And I've even got when I was there, did some illustrations of these guys. I can't find it now. So there's some of those in the book as well, because I'm an artist, you know. So
yeah,
I'll just try and find it while I'm talking to you here. It's somewhere.
You probably, you know, wherever, like anytime spare time you get, you just get a pen and paper and just start doodling away.
Yeah,
you know?
that's what I was saying to you about the envelopes and stuff like that. You know, I get in trouble for drawing on things. Like I drew this guy at Tongariki,
Yeah.
Coloured him in if I can find him. There he is. There he is.
1 sec. Let's get that out of there and get it. There we go. That's awesome.
So that's what I do. I just do everything on it, and I just love it. I just I take pictures. I took 1,000 pictures when I was there.
Yeah.
And that's due to digital.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, it was film. You'd only take 35 and have to wait 6 weeks for it to come back. But I used to do that
all the time.
When I went there, I had 2 cameras, two camcorders, a couple of tripods, and I'm hawking these things around. I'm taking pictures on them all, and I took 6 hours of film, and I've taken 1,000 photographs, and I put the book together, and it's all mine. It's everything I do. I design it and everything. I just like to work that way,
Yeah. I remember, like, when I was at film school, I had somebody come in and they wanted to do. It was Lions Club. They were building up, like a hall at Milford Sound here in New Zealand, which is like a very well known thing, and travel site. And so they brought it in, and it was on VHS, and the VHS the head was dirty, so you had all this fuzzy stuff at the bottom, like about there all across.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at, I'm going, I think maybe got 3 or 4 tapes of this to work through. I'm like, this isn't going to work. So what they did was they paid for, they took my wife and I at that time for the weekend, and we traveled with them, and I took footage of all that. Then I came back and made a 10-20 minute promotional video of what they had done in that place. But we got to experience life with these elder people, because we're about maybe in our 30s at that time. This is about 2006, and so with people that were like 60 and 50-year-old talking about stuff and all that. It was a really great experience. But I'd never been with people from the Lions Club. I didn't know what they were about. I didn't know what they did. And here they were, took us in, fed us, looked after us, told us about what was going on. What was it? Because they were doing it for the community, right? It was like that people could come in, like it was like a hall where they could come and sleep and stuff for travelers, campers, and all that. And they'd raise funds to make this. And so I was like, I was going to do my best job I could do for them. And but yeah, this is what I mean. Like, people, we've got to experience other people's lives and what they did for their community. And I think, where else have you traveled to?
North and South America, Canada, Caribbean, Europe. I was detained in Baghdad, Iraq.
What was the reason?
I don't know. They don't need a reason.
Yeah.
I suspect that when I was there, I was dragged off a plane with an AK-47 in New Delhi.
What year was this?
1980.
Right.
And I found out later that I was with a friend, and we were traveling to the subcontinent, and we were detained for 3 hours with these guys, and they all look like Saddam. They all have a beret and a mustache.
Yeah.
Little. I'm tall. I'm 6'1", and so these guys are little. They're only about 5'6", and this guy's screaming in my face, spitting in my face, screaming. With not spitting at me, but spit coming at me. Screaming at me.
Full on, yeah.
And it's like, when you I don't know whether you've been to Europe, but when you go to France and Spain and places like that, you can generally work out what people are saying because the mannerisms are the same. The words are pretty similar. But when you imagine Arabic and Chinese, there's nothing the same. Japanese, there's nothing the same. So this guy's screaming at me in Arabic, and I know a bit of French, I know a bit of Italian, I know a bit of Spanish, but I don't know one word of Arabic or whatever it is he's saying. And and me and my friend's at the other side of this room. There's nothing in this room. It's an empty, totally empty room. No, there's no desk, chair, just an empty room. And I'm in one corner with this guy with this AK-47 in my belly.
Yeah.
And my friend's in the other corner with an AK-47 in his. And this little guy kept coming. He was like the officer, and he kept coming in and out and screaming at me. In fact, screaming at my friend Tim. And anyway, they let us go after about 2 or 3 hours. The plane was delayed. Everybody's pissed off with us because we've delayed the plane, which isn't really true because it wasn't our choice. We hadn't done anything wrong. He just dragged us off. Anyway, I found out when I came back about 6 weeks later, the pilot said, we can't go to Baghdad. We're going to Kuwait City. There's a war going on. And I found out later that, I don't know why, but they dragged us off because I think they thought we were up to something. And 12 hours after we were there, Iran bombed the airport to start that 10-year war. And I think they had wind of something and wondered why 2 Westerners were in that area at that time. But I did find out that they also detained a couple of American lads.
Yeah.
Probably for the same reason. They probably thought we were up to something.
Spies. You know? Yeah. Probably you were spying, coming in to just check it out. You know, as it happens, sometimes that, you know, things like that happen for real.
But they could have stopped. They could have stopped us getting on the plane.
Yeah.
But
you would have been stuck there.
But they waited for us to get on the plane before they took us off. So it's not good. It's not good. So I won't be going that way again.
Yeah, no, I mean, conflicts, man, that, you know, like I said, they're always trying to divide people. And rather than us
that was the thing. Have you seen that film called Midnight Express?
But about the drugs and stuff.
Yeah, where he's in the jail.
Yeah. Well, it's been, I think I saw it when it came out.
Yeah. Well, me and my friend Tim, who was with in Iraq, we'd seen that film about 3 weeks before we went, and we thought that's where we were going to end up. you know what goes on in that jail. It's just not very good at all. I mean, I can't imagine jail anywhere's any good, but those places seem to be particularly bad. And we were looking at each other across this room like, shit, you know, this is it. This is it. And nobody knew where we were. They knew where we were going, but we didn't know the route. They didn't know the route. So we could have just disappeared.
Yeah. When in 2010 we were in Fiji, and I haven't lived in Fiji since about 83, and I went there with my friend, and you know, we're basically talking to locals outside, and they kind of, you know, I had suspicion they were like kind of the, you know, the underground, you know, whatever, you know, criminal network, whatever. But and my friend, and they were going to come back to our place, and you know, we'll go and have food and everything. I'm like, because my friend's white, right? And I'm thinking, no. And my friend's like, yeah, come on, let's go. I'm like, no. We're just gonna go home. He's like, no, come on, man. I was like, no. You know, because like you get that little thing. I'm drunk as well, and I'm stoned as well, and I'm thinking, whatever's happening here, I don't know these people.
Yeah.
And when I'm in this situation, no matter what happens, I'm going home, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen. And a lot of people don't realize that, you know, when you travel overseas, it's a lot of danger when you're traveling, because there's different people who have different attitudes about different things. And like it just happened, right? You didn't know why they pulled you off until later, and the suspicion. But, you know, people disappear all the time, and it's scary. You know,
a few weeks later, well, about a week later, we're in Mumbai, I think it's called now. We were in Bombay, and we were going to get a steamer down to Goa, which is on the west coast, 200 or 300 miles.
That's like a boat. Like, for those who don't know, it's a ship, steamship. Yeah.
And what you do is you just turn up at the dock, and there's 4 or 5 of them, and you get on one, and you give the guy $50, and he takes you to Goa.
Yeah.
Simple, right? But for some reason, I can't remember now. We decided not to do that. We decided to go north instead.
Right.
And then we found out later that, or from somebody in Rajasthan that were talking about this trip, he said, whatever you do, don't go on those things because
Yeah.
you probably won't get there
Yeah.
being white. And of course, like I said to you, people knew we were going to India, but India is a big place.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this guy was telling us of stories of white people like us who were on those steamers that get murdered and robbed and thrown overboard.
Yeah.
So you get on at Mumbai and you wouldn't get to Goa, and somewhere in those 200 miles, you were floating in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah. And people like, this is the arrogance of people nowadays and the young youth, right? They think they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I was 30 when I went to Fiji, and my suspicions were like, no, go home.
You've still got to be careful.
Yeah. And this is my country. I live here. I was born here, but I'm still going home, because and my parents are like, my mom was like that one night. I was like drunk as, and I wanted to go out. I said, no, and the funny thing is, because this is when, like, about, I think it was 2014, and I was still taking major medications, so my brain switches off and switches on to something, and I've been drinking all night. And my mum, and I learned that the day after, she'd got a bowl of water and poured it on my pants. My 60-year-old mum, to stop me from going out that night at 11 o'clock at night into town to the nightclub, because my brain had just switched, and I couldn't think of anything but I'm gonna go. And the goodness of her heart, she goes, all right, you lie down in bed, and she puts water in, and I go to sleep to keep me home. And this is my mother in Fiji, where she was born, so she knows something could go wrong. And this idea that you can just travel anywhere and everybody's happy and welcoming and all that, doesn't matter what color you are. If you have money and a tourist, you're a target for someone.
I can never understand why these girls go on their own.
I don't either, man. That freaks the hell out of me. When I see that, I was like, oh my goodness, why?
There was a girl, when I was in East Round, there was a girl, an English girl there, who I only met her for a couple of hours because I was leaving.
Yeah.
And she was, when she came back on the plane with me, but when we got to Santiago in Chile, she was going over to Argentina and all this kind of thing, and then she was going up to Peru, and she was on her own. I mean, I went on my own, but I'm a bloke, you know. You know what I'm saying?
There is a bit of, there's a difference when a guy goes overseas on his own, when a girl goes on overseas. I just remembered, like, my dad said, like, these two girls were at a motel or something, and they'd gone away. It came back, all their stuff had gone. Right? I was in Fiji, and I had my laptop's mouse go missing in a friggin' high class hotel. Right? They didn't even probably know. They thought it was a freaking phone. It was a mouse, and I go, my mouse is missing. I just bought it, $20. They just thought it might be a phone. It's walked away. So and these girls had lost all the photos that they'd taken on their travels together. And there were two of them. But these things happen, and you just got to, you just don't know. Carry on with your story.
What you said there is quite true, in the way that the biggest loss there was those photographs. You can always get a new camera and a new laptop. Yeah, you might have stuff on the laptop, but because that's what I did when I go away. I take a laptop and I download my photographs onto it. So if that went, I wouldn't have any. But
and here's the sad part, right? When I was a kid in my teens, I was that kind of the person who would take that for no reason, and I did once.
Right.
Right. I took the photo. Like, we were in Paihia, which is a tourist place on the beach, and some guy goes, "Hey," some guy from my school, didn't even freaking know, and I'm just like, mucking around on a bike. He goes, "Oh, go grab that," and whatever, and I just do it. Grabbed it and went. Police came. They got the police. Police brought me back, and we were able to get the cameras back. I didn't even know why I did it, man. Right? I still, to this day, I don't know why I did it. What was the situation? And I just did it. And you get, and here's me 15 years old or 16 years old all the time doing something stupid
Mhm.
and not even thinking about it. And my dad told me off. He said, you know, you took all the camera, the photos and stuff and all this shit. And I was in the police station, you know, and I took all the blame, right? But it was my mate who told me to go and do that. And I'm like, but, you know, and this is New Zealand, by the way, happening, right? So it happens everywhere. And like, Kieran, I was, yeah.
When I first went to America, I was in Nashville, Tennessee. I was on a Greyhound bus. I got the Greyhound from Dallas to New York. It took me a week or so to get there. I was getting off all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to Nashville, Tennessee, home of music, home of country music, you know. Looking around, and I thought it was a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours till the bus left.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll go for a walk. So I came out of the bus station and was walking around the town and walking around, just looking and just walking down the sidewalk. And I began to realize that people were looking at me. A lot of people, not just looking at me, but looking at me.
Yeah.
What turning their head as I walked past. And I thought, I must be looking pretty good today. You know, so I'm walking around. And then I realized everybody was black.
Right.
And I was in the middle of the black area.
Yeah.
And they didn't like a white guy walking. And they must have been thinking, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
And as soon as I realized, well, I think that's why they were looking at me.
Yeah, of course.
I just got a cab and went back to the Greyhound.
Yeah.
I didn't even walk back because I was a good 30 minutes away from it. You know, I just got a cab, and then the taxi driver looked at me because he was a black guy, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I think I'm in the wrong place. And I told him what I'd done, and he knew my accent. He could tell I was English.
Yeah,
and
not American.
He just laughed. He said,
"Yeah,
I'll take you back, man. You don't want to be hanging around where you were." Because not only was I in this isn't putting anybody down, but not only was I in the black side of town, I was in the bad side of town.
Yeah.
A white guy walking down the street.
Yeah.
And it's as easy as that, as innocent and as easy as that. If I'd have gone out the Greyhound station and turned left instead of right, I probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where I was going. And I didn't have any problem with anybody. I don't have a problem with black people.
Yeah.
And I'm walking about.
It is like, this is like, people don't understand, like, not everybody thinks the way you think. And your ideas of the world being a socialist loving rainbows and tinted, you know, what are they called, rose tinted glasses, that's not real.
No.
You know?
You've got to be careful.
You have to be careful. Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, like, I mean, like that moment, I was just like, if we decided, it could have been a nice thing, right? 50-50.
Yeah.
Could have been a wonderful time, you know, made new friends and stuff, or the other side, and we would be robbed, and, you know, there'll be that and beaten up. And, you know, I think traveling, you got to be really careful, you know. It's, unless you know the country you're going to, and you know, the people know you well, you know, and it's just, you know, it can be a Wild West. And I've seen, you know, stuff about girls just missing, you know, going to, like, there was one where they're like at the beach, gone, disappeared. That's it. Just no, you know, the parents are trying to fight to find out what happened, traveling and stuff. And that's really, you know, I mean, you know, you've traveled a lot, and, you know, you learn a lot right through your travels. And people who haven't, and it's the first time, they have this like, this wonderful, you know, everything's going to be fine, you know, and reality hits.
Yeah, the thing is, you walk. First of all, you walk about thinking, well, I'm not against anybody. I'm not a threat. But you've got to realize that they think you might be, and you've also got to realize that they might not care whether you were or not.
That's it. 100%.
You're a target. You're a target.
100% correct on that one. Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It's what their beliefs are.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why I kind of like, yeah, that moment taught me a lot, because I actually after that I just traveled on the day. I didn't go out at night. I just traveled on the day. I went from I did bus trips like you did, right through, because you can travel around the Viti Levu, which is the main island of Fiji, in a day on the bus. You can just go all around on the bus in the whole one day, and it's wonderful. And and you can stop at different resorts, pay $100, and you'll be there for the night, or $50, and you're good. And then the next day, and the next day, and you have a wonderful trip. And that's the beauty of traveling. You can have a wonderful time, but just got to be careful about what's going on around you.
Yeah,
mindful. And man, thank you for sharing that. I didn't really think we'd be talking about traveling and safety with traveling. But let's get back to I'm gonna we're almost finished here, but I'm gonna get you back to this, and we'll talk about the last bits of it, and then I'll get you to give do the last words that we do every time on this show, on these podcasts. So is there anything here you want to talk about before we finish up and go to last words?
I think we've covered it. The Hatch one there, the next day, that's the first book that's available on the PDF, or I've got a few hard copies left.
Yeah,
I've got about, I think I've got about 20 or so, and I'll sign those, obviously. It just go down.
This one here, or the next one.
That's it. That's the hard copy there, and yeah. I just invite people to just to have a look through it and see what they think. And I don't think I think you'll enjoy it, because it's quite zany, really. It's quite crazy, It's fun.
Yeah, zine.
It's fun, and it's just. Well, I'm biased. I think he's great, But there's all sorts.
I mean, like the fact is, this is natural, right? This traditional pen to paper. Colors. I mean, are you using colored pencils here, or
that's colored pencil,
and then you got paint on the green shirt.
No, it's just all pencil. The thing about that drawing is that he's got normal trousers on. He doesn't wear normal trousers usually. So he's usually got his little spacesuit on or something. But apart from that one as well. But he's usually got that sort of kit on there that you see on this planet. And just these crazy things happen to him. If you just go back up again, you'll see him. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh no, it might be no. Sorry, it's the other way. Sorry.
Right,
keep going down. You'll see.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, I had to do that. That was just had to do that. Keep going. That one. Go back. That one. No, next one.
This one.
That one. That's where he's coming back from the post office with his parcel.
Right.
Right. But you never know where the post office is.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that particular piece. It's a good one, I think.
Awesome. All right, Glenn, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we're going to do the last words, and I'll give you we cut these up and it becomes little words of wisdom. But last words. So you got 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. You got a moment to think about it.
I'm currently working on a Second World War short stories. I'm not saying any more than that, but I can guarantee you, and this is a big guarantee, that they've never seen anything like this before. And it's not zombies and all that sort of stuff. These are stories about the war that I'm working on. But with this particular campaign here, there's lots of stuff you can get. You can get artwork, you can get everything. I don't know what to say. It's 100 pages full of Hatch and how he got to be, where he's from, why he's doing it, and all this kind of stuff. And sort of well worth your time.
All right, so let's get you to the solo, and you can give us your words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom.
And
I've taken some people have been jealous of me because of the places I've been and things I've done, and I maintain that all I've done is recognize opportunities and taken them. And believe me, of all the things I've done, I probably miss more opportunities than I've taken. So what I'm saying is that you don't need millions of pounds. You don't need anything like that. If you want to do something or go somewhere, you can make it happen. And I did that with Rapa Nui. That's the remotest inhabited place on Earth. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And I went there because I had a dream as a kid to go there. It's all in the book. The teacher, a teacher called Mr. Clarkson, read us a book called The Kon-Tiki Expedition by this Norwegian explorer called Thor Heyerdahl. And he went there to Easter Island the year I was born. And he read this book, and I was fascinated with this book. And this is when I'm about 12. And it's always been in the back of my mind to go there. Then a few years ago, when I turned 50, I was single, I had money, and I thought, what shall I do? And I thought, well, I'll go to Rapa Nui. And I went to Rapa Nui. I made it happen. I took the pictures. I just did the whole thing myself, just booked it and went and did it. So what I'm saying is that if I can do it, I think most people can do it. And you should get on with your dreams. As for the artwork, I've always drawn. It's the only thing I've ever done that I remember from being a kid. I'd write stories and draw stories, and I made it happen. And I've got 11 books out there, and especially now, I've got to deal with what you might call a real publisher. But you can self-publish. You can put your book together. You can write it, get it together, get somebody, or design it yourself or whatever. And then upload it, and you can actually do it now. It's a lot easier than when I was a kid and wanted to be a writer. But you still got to put the work in and actually write the book or do the illustrations or whatever you want to do. But I would urge people to, as we said at the top of the show, not be bored. That's not an excuse, being bored. There's always something to do. You could go and help somebody. You could do anything. But if you want to write, you've got to have the discipline. If you want to draw, you need the discipline. But learn all you can about everything. I did that in my job. I was a graphic designer. I did artwork for brochures and newspapers and things like that. But I learned all about typography. I learned all about illustration, photography, cinematography, proofreading, script writing. Because I have a thirst for the knowledge thing, like we said at the top as well, about going to the library and all that. Now you've got your own library probably on your phone. You can find out anything you want. You can research it. There's no excuses now. The world really is a small place because you can go anywhere in an instant. When I was, 18, 20, I had to take a bus and go to the library to be somewhere in the world. Now I can literally do it in 2 seconds on the computer. The tools are there. Do the work. If you want to go somewhere, check it out. Do all you can. Because when I was younger, when I was traveling, I won't call them friends, all my peers in the pub did just that. They stayed in the pub. I didn't go in the pub. I saved me money and I went somewhere. And and it was a lot more difficult then. And as we said, be careful if you do that. But look at the good side of things and the positive side of things and get these things done. If you've got an ambition, go for it. Do it. If you don't try, you failed. And if you try and you don't do it, then you haven't succeeded, but you've not failed because you tried. That's my philosophy. That's about it, really. You're muted.
Thank you guys for watching. And what is it, like about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock now?
It's 10 o'clock now. Yeah, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, so that would be 10 o'clock here for us as well. So thank you guys for watching. And I hope you found something interesting. And, especially the traveling thing, man, that really freaks me out when people just don't think about it that much. They think everything's going to be roses out there. And
listen. Me and Tim stayed in some rare places in India, literally holes in the road. We didn't stay at 5-star hotels, which is the other point I should have made. Yeah. If you go somewhere, I mean, don't get me wrong. If I could have stayed in a 5-star hotel, I would have done. Yeah. But I think I've really seen the places I've been to because I've not been in that hotel with that lovely swimming pool and all that. I've seen some stuff in India, I tell you, some rare stuff that I wish I could forget, but I can't. Well, I'm glad I did,
Yeah.
because I saw real life. I know people
Yeah.
who've been there and they just go there and they stay on the resort. And I think, well, what's the point of traveling 12
Yeah.
hours? You can go to Spain
Yeah.
to do that. You know, what's the point of that?
Yeah. You
But
could just
that's-
watch it online if you want
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
but just do it. Do it. Or at least try.
Hmm.
Don't dream about it. Try.
Yeah.
Do something to achieve it.
You got to really set goals. It's so easy to,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it's really so easy to do what you want right now. But you got to get away from, you know, things that are holding you back. I think that's I've learned myself. It's like, you know, just cut out things and just concentrate on what I really, really, you know, that real narrow thing I want to do.
Yeah.
And I thank you for, you know, sharing lots of things with us.
Pleasure.
And I just,
Pleasure.
you know, we went all over the place, but I mean, it's just that, you know, someone like you who's experienced so many things, it's just a wonderful time to share that. And I want to thank you for that, Glenn. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. It's been great. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I forgot to say, you guys can catch Glenn on a site called what is that link there? Let me see. It's
Fund My Comic.
Indie oh right. It's
the Indie Comic Network thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because
I'm not
you
sure
guys do a lot of amazing you know, podcasts there as well. So when I get a chance, I try to catch as much as I can of it. But this is on here, this site. You guys can check out Glenn and some other amazing historians, I should say, almost, you know, like of comics and stuff. So
yeah,
please check that out.
If you put my name into Google, it comes up with just about everything you can get. So there's all stuff on Amazon, books and magazines you can get, and all that kind of thing. So just put my name in Google, you'll find it.
All right. I kept thinking it was E, but it's B. I don't know why I got E from, but yeah, Glenn B Fleming. So thank you guys. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Wherever you are, be well, be safe, and give your loved ones a hug, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So catch up next time. Don't forget, we've got some amazing Whangarei-based artists coming on. We've got a couple filmmakers coming on over the next couple of weeks. So I'm really looking forward. But the other thing I forgot to mention was Glenn has made a documentary about Jack Kirby. But like he said, check out his name, and you'll find so much more stuff that he's done. And a lot of stuff out there that he's produced. So thank you, Glenn. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you later.